I froze mid-step on the Johnson family's front walkway, one hand still clutching their electric bill. The unmistakable screech of tires against asphalt made me turn just in time to see a gleaming white SUV swerve into the cul-de-sac and screech to a halt mere inches from my mail truck. Even before the driver's door flew open, I knew exactly who it was. "You!" Karen Michaels bellowed, waving what looked like a printed Amazon receipt in her perfectly manicured hand. "I've been looking everywhere for you." Her designer sunglasses sat perched atop her immaculate blonde bob as she marched toward me, her face flushed with self-righteous anger. "What did you do with my package?" I took a deep breath and mentally counted to 5, a technique my supervisor had taught me for dealing with difficult customers. "Good morning, Mrs. Michaels. Is there something I can help you with today?" "Don't good morning me. I ordered a limited edition crystal vase that was supposed to be delivered 2 days ago. It's worth $300, and the tracking says you delivered it, but there's nothing on my porch." "Nothing." She thrust the paper so close to my face that I had to step back. "I want you to admit you lost it or stole it, or whatever you did with it." Little did I know that within the hour, she'd be physically blocking my truck with her SUV, screaming demands into my face. And by the end of my route, those perfectly manicured hands would be cuffed behind her back as she was escorted to a police cruiser while neighbors watched from their perfectly manicured lawns. I've been a mail carrier for almost 12 years now. You learn a lot about people when you deliver their mail day after day. You see the birthday cards they receive, the bills they get, the packages that arrive like clockwork. I knew most of my customers by name, the elderly Mr. Peterson, who always offered me lemonade in summer, the Garcia family, whose new baby announcement I delivered just last week, and yes, Karen Michaels, president of the Oakwood Estates HOA and self-appointed guardian of suburban perfection. In the 3 years I'd been on this route, Karen had filed no fewer than 8 official complaints about mail delivery. None were upheld because, well, I do my job properly, but that never seemed to stop her. Today's accusation was just the latest in her campaign to find anyone to blame when things didn't go exactly her way. "Mrs. Michaels, the tracking confirms delivery to your front porch 2 days ago at 2:17 p.m., I explained calmly, pointing to the information on her own printout. "I remember your package specifically because it was marked fragile. I placed it to the right of your door, behind the flower pot, just like you've requested before." Her eyes narrowed. "Are you calling me a liar? Because I checked every inch of my property, and there's no package. If it was delivered as you claim, then where is it?" It didn't just walk away on its own. Sometimes packages get moved by weather, or unfortunately, there could have been theft. "Have you checked your security cameras?" I suggested, knowing full well she had an elaborate system installed just last month, something she'd announced to the entire neighborhood via a strongly worded HOA newsletter about increasing community safety measures. My cameras were being updated that day, she snapped, a little too quickly. "This isn't about my security system. This is about you not doing your job properly. I want your name and employee number right now." I provided her with my information as professionally as I could, even though she already knew my name after 3 years of deliveries and complaints. "You're welcome to contact the post office customer service line. I need to continue my route now, but I hope your package turns up soon." That should have been the end of it. Under normal circumstances, even an upset customer would take the matter through official channels. But Karen Michaels wasn't operating under normal circumstances. She was operating under the delusion that her position as HOA president gave her authority over every aspect of the neighborhood, including federal mail delivery. Continued my route, trying to shake off the unpleasant encounter. 3 houses later, I noticed a car creeping along the street behind me. The white SUV was following me from house to house, with Karen inside, her phone held up to the window, filming me. This was crossing a line from annoying to concerning. At the next house, she actually got out and stood just a few feet away, narrating to her phone as if she were documenting a wildlife documentary. "As you can see, he's pretending to deliver mail normally, but I've caught on to his scheme. This is the same carrier who mysteriously delivered my valuable package that magically disappeared. Mrs. Michaels, I said firmly. What you're doing could be considered harassment. I've explained the situation and provided you with the proper channels for your complaint. Please stop following me on my route. Her response was to raise her voice. I have every right to be on my neighborhood streets. I'm the HOA president. I'm documenting your negligence for the Postal Inspector General. A couple of neighbors had come to their doors, curious about the commotion. Karen seemed to feed off the audience, projecting her voice even louder. This man refuses to take responsibility for losing expensive packages. Everybody needs to check their deliveries. I pulled out my phone and called my supervisor, explaining the situation, while Karen continued her tirade just feet away. My supervisor advised me to continue my route as best I could while avoiding engagement, and said she would send someone out to assist if the situation escalated further. Document everything, she told me. If she physically interferes with your delivery, that's a federal offense. I didn't have to wait long for that line to be crossed. After following me for nearly 30 minutes, Karen apparently decided that stalking and verbal harassment weren't getting the result she wanted. As I pulled away from the Thompson residence and prepared to drive to the next delivery cluster, Karen sped ahead of me in her SUV, screeched to a halt at an angle across the narrow street, and jumped out, leaving her driver's door wide open. That's it. I'm not letting you go anywhere until you admit what you did with my package, she shouted, standing directly in front of my vehicle with her arms crossed. I pay your salary with my tax dollars, and I demand answers now. I put my truck in park and took a deep breath. Mrs. Michaels, you're physically obstructing a federal employee in the performance of official duties. That's a federal offense. Please move your vehicle immediately so I can continue my route. Oh, playing the federal employee card, are we? She sneered, not budging an inch. I'm not intimidated by your little power trip. I know people in this town, important people. I could have you fired with one phone call. By this point, her shouting had drawn quite an audience. Several neighbors had emerged from their homes, and I noticed at least 2 people had their phones out, recording the scene. One of them, Mrs. Rodriguez from number 37, called out, "Karen, leave him alone. He always delivers our mail perfectly." Karen spun around, pointing an accusatory finger. "Stay out of this, Elena. Remember, your hedges are still 2 inches over regulation height. I haven't forgotten about that violation." While she was momentarily distracted, I called 911. "Hello, I'm a United States Postal Service carrier, and my vehicle is being blocked by a resident who is preventing me from completing my mail route. I'm at the corner of Oakwood and Maple in Oakwood Estates." Karen whipped back around when she heard me on the phone, her face contorting with even more rage. "Are you calling the police on me? I'm the victim here. You lost my $300 vase." She stormed up to my window and started screaming at the top of her lungs, loud enough that I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "He's lying. I'm the HOA president. Do you know who I am? I'll have you fired and federally charged." The dispatcher assured me they were sending an officer immediately. I remained in my vehicle with the doors locked, as per protocol during threatening situations. Karen alternated between yelling at me, yelling at the gathering neighbors, and making her own phone call presumably to whoever these important people were who could supposedly have me fired on the spot. Officer Davis arrived about 7 minutes later, which felt like an eternity, with Karen pacing around my truck like a predator circling its prey. I recognized him immediately. He lived in the neighborhood on the other side of my route, and we often exchanged friendly waves. His presence immediately changed the dynamic. "What seems to be the problem here?" he asked, approaching with calm authority. Before I could even roll down my window to explain, Karen launched into her version of events, talking over everyone. "Officer, I want this man arrested. He stole or lost an expensive package that was entrusted to him, and now, he's threatening me with federal charges for simply asking questions. He's intimidating me." Officer Davis held up his hand. "Ma'am, please step back from the postal vehicle." He turned to me. "Can you tell me what's happening, sir?" I explained the situation concisely, The package that tracking showed as delivered 2 days ago. Karen's accusations, her following me on my route, and finally blocking my vehicle to prevent me from continuing my deliveries. Karen couldn't contain herself, interrupting repeatedly. He's lying. Check his truck. My package is probably still in there. Or maybe it's at his house. He probably took it home. Ma'am, Officer Davis said firmly. Interfering with mail delivery is a federal offense. You need to move your vehicle immediately. Do you know who I am? Karen demanded, drawing herself up to her full height, which was still considerably shorter than Officer Davis. I'm the president of this HOA. I basically run this neighborhood. You can't talk to me like that. I don't care if you're the president of the United States, ma'am. You cannot block a postal vehicle. Move your car now, or you'll be arrested for obstruction. This is ridiculous. I have HOA immunity in this neighborhood. She declared a statement so absurd that I heard several neighbors actually laugh out loud. These streets belong to the association, and as president, I have the right to stop anyone I deem suspicious. Officer Davis's patience was visibly wearing thin. Ma'am, there's no such thing as HOA immunity, and these are public streets. I need to see your ID, and I need you to move your vehicle now. This is your final warning. I don't have to show you anything. I'm the victim here. Why aren't you investigating him? She jabbed a finger toward me. Check his truck. Call his supervisor. What happened next unfolded with the swift, inevitable justice that entitled people never seemed to expect. After multiple warnings and Karen's continued refusal to comply with any lawful order, Officer Davis informed her she was under arrest for obstruction of a federal employee and disorderly conduct. You can't arrest me. I'm calling my lawyer. This is harassment. She shrieked as Officer Davis calmly took out his handcuffs. When he moved to place them on her wrists, she actually tried to back away, still yelling, "This is abuse of power. I'll have your badge. I'll sue the entire department." When the handcuffs clicked into place, there was a moment of shocked silence, as if Karen couldn't believe this was actually happening to her, of all people. That silence was broken by a spontaneous burst of applause from several neighbors who had been watching the entire scene unfold. As Officer Davis carefully guided Karen toward his patrol car. Reading her rights, she continued her protests, though slightly more subdued now as reality began to sink in. This is a mistake. I'm an upstanding community leader. I organize the neighborhood watch. I enforce property values. You have the right to remain silent. Officer Davis continued calmly. I suggest you use it. When the patrol car door closed on Karen's still protesting form, I could finally feel my shoulders relax. Officer Davis returned to get my official statement, and another officer arrived to move Karen's SUV out of the road. I was able to continue my route, though I was running significantly behind schedule. The most surprising part of the story came 3 days later. When I was delivering mail to Mrs. Rodriguez, she waved me over with an apologetic smile. You won't believe this, she said, but I found Karen's missing package when I was gardening this morning. She held up a slightly weather-beaten box. It was behind my fence, in the bushes that separate our yards. It must have been delivered correctly, but blown over by that windstorm we had last week. The address label is a bit faded, but it's definitely hers. I never received an apology from Karen Michaels. What I did hear through the neighborhood grapevine was that she was facing misdemeanor charges for obstruction and disorderly conduct, with potential fines up to $1,000. The HOA board had voted to temporarily suspend her from her position pending the outcome of her case. According to Mr. Peterson, who attended the emergency board meeting, Karen had burst into tears when the vote was announced, crying that she was being persecuted and that everyone was conspiring against her. The crystal vase apparently had shattered when the package blew over in the storm.